All right, guys, good morning. Welcome back. This is Bob here. It's a lovely Tuesday morning here in Seattle, Washington, and thought I'd shoot another video. It's been a while, and I only get to do this a little bit. This isn't my main gig, not like it used to be, but I love doing it, and I'm having fun, and I'm learning a lot, so let's get into it. So today we're talking about practicing scales. And it's an essential part. There's no real way around it. I mean, for people that want to be versatile musicians, I should say, there's nothing wrong with being self-taught. You just jam, or I've met people that are just natural. They just pick stuff up. They can play things that they hear. They never really learned any scales or theory, and they're having fun, and that's freaking great. There is no one way to do this. There's no one way to live the life, right? But if you're wanting to be somebody that understands the music more, understands theory more, mostly to just be a working player. And when I say a working player, I don't even necessarily mean like you're a professional playing, every day, but even just somebody that gets gigs. You want to play with other players and you want to speak the language that they're speaking. You have to play your scales. It's really just the way we get our facility on the instrument, our tone, our knowledge of the fretboard, all these things, and it's just how we develop. It's just like an athlete, has to do strength and conditioning. They can't just play their sport. They have to do supplemental work, or they have to drill. They have to practice certain skills over and over again, etc. So I think that goes without saying. I just know that sometimes people get they get upset, or oh, I gotta practice scales, but there's a couple ways to go about it, and I'll shoot other videos in terms of a mentality aspect, because it can become very meditative. If you're that kind of person, it can get into the real essence of it and really slow things down. But today what I want to do is just give you some different ideas to help you stay on track with practicing your scales, but also make them more musical and more enjoyable to do. So let's get into it. All right, so I'm gonna work out of just a G major scale, mostly because it's easy to see here on the camera, easy to access, right? But what you're gonna wanna do is start developing this, obviously, in all the keys and all over the neck as much as possible. I recommend, maybe doing, depending on what kind of schedule you have, one key a day, or two or three. You have a lifetime to master this, right? But let's just go with one scale today, and then you can start progressing them. We'll also look at different patterns or different shapes. So I'm going to stay, I call this the box shape, because I'm only staying in this 4-fret area, right? So if I go 1, 2, or root, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and then the root again, right, or the octave. And then I can keep going up to the 2 or the 9, the 3 or the 10, and then the 4 or the 11, right, up an octave on this one area of the bass. And we'll just kind of use that as our working area. So then one of the things I can do here is add some rhythm, right? So if I've got my G major scale, let's add a beat to it, and you can set the metronome up and get kind of a more, so you're really in tune with your rhythm, but I'm going kind of more of a funk bass, like. Maybe, right? And so then obviously I can modulate that up and down. I can also play different shapes with that. Okay, so you get the idea. Now the other thing I want to start doing is, and maybe before this, but as much as possible, I need to internalize a couple different things. The notes on the fretboard, what am I playing, right? So I'm playing a G, an A, a B, C, D, E. Now this is F sharp, and G, right? Also need to know the tones, right? Or the degrees of the scale, okay? This used to drive me crazy when I was learning, modes and degrees and chords. I was like, I didn't get how it all related, but just stick with it and you'll figure it out, right? But this is, again, the building block of it is this major scale. So I'm playing the root, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, and the root again, right? So very important that you internalize that while you're practicing. So you can add the rhythm though and still be internalizing this, okay? Now the next level of this, or another thing you can do, and this is really going to start breaking up your understanding of chords, because the third really distinguishes chords quite a bit, right? In fact, it's very important if you're playing a major chord or a minor chord. If you jam in with somebody and they're playing, a minor blues or something, and you're playing major thirds, not knowing it, if you're not using them as connectors maybe, but if it doesn't fit the music, then that's going to be a problem, right? So you need to know major and minor thirds, fifths, and then the sevenths, right? That's what colors the chord. Those are what bass players are mostly responsible for, especially the root and third and fifth, right? So when we play in thirds, we get this feel or this sound. And I'm going to keep going up the strings to get to the octave, right? So again, we've got G to B, which is a major third. Then we've got A to C, which is a minor third. Then B to D. Major and minor, think about it. It's a bigger or shorter distance. Major is a half step longer distance than the minor third, if that helps to think about it, right? But you also want to hear the sound. So we got our B to D, which is a minor chord or minor third. Then we've got C to E, which is another major third, right? Then we've got our D to F sharp, which is another major third. And then we've got E to G, another minor third. And then F sharp to A, minor third. And then back to G to B, again, the octave major chord. So, right, pretty rudimentary. If you haven't started doing that already, I recommend it. That's just going to make, you're going to have more, again, fretboard knowledge, intonation. You're going to hear the chords a little bit more. But then add the rhythm part now. So after you kind of feel comfortable with that, whatever shape you're doing this, now we've got our just going up to the 4 chord. Whoops. Let me start again. Problem with recording on my phone is that people text me while I'm doing this, and it distracts the hell out of me. I got to figure out a different way to do this. But anyways, you get the idea, right? We're going in thirds, right? And we're grooving. And I can add a little embellishment, staying diatonic, meaning I'm staying in the scale of G major, but just a little do 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 do, kind of corny, whatever. But again, it's helping me to stay disciplined within that major scale, right? If that's that's what you need to be doing, right? There's this concept, right? I own a martial arts school. I've been teaching martial arts for 25 years. It's actually my main job now, but the similarities between music and martial arts are many. And the concepts, anyways, in development, there's this concept of putting yourself in a box. A lot of people want to be free and expressive right away. That's beautiful, man. Don't lose that. But the more you can be disciplined in certain areas and really hone in, like you could even do less of what I'm doing in a day, and it's gonna affect your playing in a greatly. And a lot of people don't realize that. I didn't when I was younger. I thought I had to get everything done, in an hour or 2 or 3 hours and try to learn the entire world of music. It doesn't work that way. So, but if you kind of do, okay, I'm gonna stay in the G major scale and try to make music with it. So here's one way to break it up rhythmically, and then break up your scales, or break up into thirds, right? And notice I'm only playing up to the 4 chord, right? So I'm just kind of getting this little, it's almost a tune, right? Just a little rundown, right? So this is a concept that can go on forever for you. It doesn't have to be this groove. I'm just giving you an idea. We were doing like the other day talking about more of a triple it, almost like a swing thing, like doing the same thing, like getting the feel linearly, right? Doing that, then adding your thirds, right? Right? Or shape change now. Etc. So this is, the idea. This is an idea for you. Don't get too fixated on needing everything to be perfect that day. Meaning, don't expect it to show up in your playing or to be good at it right away. Do it now. Enjoy the instrument. Enjoy where you're at. Try to add this to your daily practice, and you'll start coming up with your own ideas, but staying within the scale. And then, of course, what we didn't do is talk about modulation, right? You can go up whole steps. You can go up to A. Right? Or you can do cycle of fifths. So I'm going up to G to D, a great exercise. But don't try to overdo it in one day is my advice, because I used to try to do that too. I got somewhere with it, but I could have saved myself a lot of energy, a lot of time, and a lot of mental energy. So give that a shot. Let me know what you think about that, guys, in the comments. I appreciate you guys checking out the videos, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Enjoy the rest of your day.